of MotoGP in 2024. We did promise you that the rounds were going to come thick and fast in this part of the year, and they certainly feel like they are as well. Just a few days on from yet another roller coaster weekend, this time in Mandalika on the magnificent island of Lombok. The MotoGP World Championship, it seems, race by race at the moment, is swinging one way and then the other. We come this weekend with Jorge Martin now managing with victory on Sunday to stretch out that all-important World Championship lead to a pretty impressive margin now, but you would be very, very brave to rule out Francesco Bagnaia, the current world champion, at this stage. Myself, Jack Alpert and Simon Crowfar. In a moment, we'll be talking through the fact of whether it is a two-horse race now for this Premier Class World Championship. But before that, Simon, as ever, on a Thursday afternoon, you've had the treat of riding the circuit. I believe it's referred to here as the home of hard braking. So from one challenge, trying to tackle the conditions in Indonesia, to really putting your body through the paces here this afternoon. How was it?
Yeah, really good. So I would describe it as like really high grip level, really good, like surface in excellent condition, and more like the experience of riding Misano, that you could just get out there and trust it straight away. Of course, the riders at the highest level with the most powerful bikes will want rubber down.
Yeah.
But as a starting point, that I always feel on Thursday, it's as good as it gets. Similar, like I said, to Misano. The braking here, like you've already mentioned, is crazy hard. Like nowhere else, really. It is the hardest braking calendar on the calendar. Mm-hmm. And according to Brembo, I think there's another place that comes close, but
Red Bull Ring?
Yes, dead right. But this is as hard as it gets. And like even on a stock 1000 BMW, which has got very good brakes in it. I don't know if there's stock pads or what, but very good. They seem to get better as they get hotter. And it's still, they were glowing with one flyer. You know, once it had a 3-lap kind of look and remembered, went out, did one flyer and came in, the brakes get a hammering. So I think just to paint a picture of what this circuit's like, it's like a whole lot of drag strips that you're braking very hard, you know, at the end of, getting the bike lined up to get the exit for that next drag strip. Then there's that's the first third of the lap. Then the middle third is flowing, beautiful flow section, totally different. And then back for the last third for lining up the drag strips and serious hard braking again. That's kind of what it feels like.
And if it is, as Brembo say, a lot of riders feel has that similarities in part to the Red Bull Ring we saw last time we went there, just how strong the GP24 machines were. And I imagine that's what we're thinking we're going to see over the course of this weekend again, because that is their strengths.
Exactly right. And it's what I predict will happen is the GP24 is so good at stopping, so good at turning in the middle, but also amazing acceleration.
Yeah.
So I think it's the riders on those bikes will, I believe, have an edge unless it rains, which is quite likely.
Yeah, is always possible in this part of the world. Our focus will be on MotoGP in the World Championship fight over the coming minutes here on Grand Prix Gear Up, before we have the first of two press conferences featuring the men first and second in the World Championship. But in the paddock, Simon, we have our first match point this weekend in the Moto3 World Championship. Aspar's David Alonso, 97 clear at the moment. If he's 100 clear by Sunday afternoon, then that lightweight class World Championship will be his. And he joins us as our guest for the next 10 minutes or so. Great to be able to get the chance to chat with David. How are you? All good?
Good.
Squeeze into the middle. So, David, big weekend. How are you feeling ahead of it? Nervous?
Yeah, well, it's a new situation for me. So let's try to hear all my people around on my day. Nico, for example, that he already did in 2011.
Yep.
And also coming Jorge for support us. So I need to try to, they say me, try to do a normal weekend.
You mentioned Jorge there, Jorge Martinez Aspar, the team owner. This, I believe, his first time in Japan for, is it 13 years?
Yeah, they told me. Funny because 13 years that he doesn't come to Japan, so finally we bring it here. We say, please, Jorge, come, support us, give us your experience and stay with us. For sure, he just say yes and then the first moment. And so we have it here after 13 years. We have it again here.
Simon, how impressed have you been with what David's done this year? 15 rounds, he's won 9 of them, astoundingly. What a season it's been.
It's rare that we see someone dominate any of the classes like you have, David. Amazing. I imagine Jack's got a couple of questions for you, but all of us, all of the fans, all of the paddock, super impressive.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks so much.
Yeah, those 9 wins as well, David. We're getting into the levels of the real greats of the paddock. The record for Moto3 is 10 by Joan Mir. I'm sure you've heard this statistic. Record for lightweight class wins in a season, Valentino Rossi with 11. There's still a lot of races to go. I'm sure you're focused on wrapping up the World Championship first, but to be in the same conversation as the likes of Valentino Rossi, how special is that?
Yeah, it's really, really good numbers, but also I try to, when I am on the bike, not think too much on them for just focus on my side, and well, this is so important for me because for example, one dream when I was little, we have one video when I was 11, 12, I don't know, they say, what is your dream? And normally everybody say that MotoGP, get to MotoGP, and I say no, my dream is to win in each class, Moto3, Moto2, MotoGP, rather than jump into MotoGP, because for me it's so important to close a chapter, to live the experience of fighting a world championship in whatever class. I think it gives you a really nice experience. It gives you so much to learn from this situation. So also Marquez, one of the advice he gave me, it was that better to win in a championship than reach MotoGP like any reason.
You mentioned Mark there. You've trained a lot with him. I've seen you have a close relationship with Fabio Quartararo, with Pecco and Jorge as well. How helpful and how nice has it been to be able to speak to these guys at the top of the sport and try and learn from them?
Yeah, good because we are all together here. So I try to, when I see all these guys, try to learn, try to hear them carefully because they are in MotoGP for some reason. So well, I always like to ask for some advice because they already did the way I'm doing now. They already did it, so it's good to listen to them.
I remember in particular as a video that I think our cameras behind the scenes one, as you go through the classes, be careful of them. They always catch with our microphone something. And Mark was telling you that it's okay to be angry at the end of the race, to have that frustration.
Yeah.
So advice like that. We then, by chance, Massano, the first race there, you could obviously see really frustrated. Afterwards, could you hear those words in the back of your mind of allowing yourself to be frustrated at not getting the result you wanted?
Yeah, the cameras sometimes have micro, so I need to be careful. But of what I say, but that was a good advice. It's difficult because sometimes, well, for example, for me, I am like a guy who shows the emotions as they are. Like, I mean, if it's not rarely, if I need to cry in front of the camera, I cry in front of the camera. So one thing of that, one part is good. It's good because you express your emotion, but another part you show all for the rival. So I need to try to find the balance of that.
We've been impressed with your celebrations this year so far. The unicycle one, my favourite so far. Don't want to give anything away to everyone at home, but if you are to get the World Championship, have you got a special celebration ready and waiting?
Well, yeah, obviously we will already think on that. We have something there, so well, let's see when go out, but we have something there.
Si?
I love what you've been saying. For example, basically squeeze everything out of each class before you go, win, before you move up. Your emotions that you show, it's true. We see it, and it's one of the reasons we love to have you in Parc Ferme, is it's raw and fantastic. My questions, I'd like to start with, for me, but also everyone watching, did you have heroes, inspirational people in our sport or maybe in another sport before you came to World Championship, people you want to emulate?
Yeah, well, in this world, MotoGP, Marc Marquez was like the guy with who I see. Also, the period Marc Marquez, Pedrosa, and a little bit Stoner, that period. But then, as you said, not only riders. Also, I like to read different, for example, about different people who had who do something good on life. Achievement. It was the word. Who do a good achievement, but not only sportsmen. Like for example, the book of Nike.
Yep.
That how the Nike developed. And I like to read about this. So, for example, Rafa Nadal, tennis player, I like him really much. How his values, the way he speaks to the journalists and how he controls his emotions. Then I read a lot about Jordan, Michael Jordan, the hungry he has for winning, and Kobe Bryant, the mentality that he was another person when he entered the court. So I like to catch something of all of them.
We see that, David. We see that you're a very different person when the visor comes down, when we love it as well.
So, another one I was thinking of I'd love to ask you is, how do I put this? So, the American legends that we saw in our sport in the past, they said that when they went home, people didn't recognize them because motorcycle racing is so small in the USA, Yeah. I was curious about you. You must be getting quite famous in Colombia.
Yeah, it's getting crazy, the situation. And already last year when we went in December, when we reached one track, the GP of Colombia that they were doing, and people were so excited. So now even more, and it's a country that it follows a lot the person. I mean, if there is a good person in the motorbikes, all the country goes with the motorbikes. If there is a good person in tennis, all the country goes to tennis. Even if they don't know much about the world, about the sport, they follow. So they have a really nice passion for this, and they support a lot. How many races we did already?
This year, 15.
15, and except Qatar, all the races, at least one flag of Colombia around the track. So that's nice.
I was going to say, I recognise the same thing as well. And from round 2, as we've gone through the rounds, there's not been one. The number of Colombian flags has been growing and growing and growing. It's been great to see how much of an effect you've had. I don't think we've got long left with you, David, because as you can imagine, lots of people want to chat to you today. But you've mentioned Nico Terol a few times, a 125cc world champion himself. You've been working with him since, 5, 6 years now?
Since when I was 11 years old, since 2018.
So for such a long period together, just how important a person has he been to get to you to this position today?
Yeah, Nico is like the big brother I never had. So it's like a relationship more than professional, something more. And it's like I spend a lot of time with him, not only on the tracks, outside the tracks, his home. And we know each other really well. So he knows me when I even don't need to speak to them to him, because he saw my face and he already know what is happening. So yeah, he teach me not only about about the motorbikes, about this, the sports, about life, and it's like a really, really important person for me.
Just before you go, have you done the calculations? Do you know what position you need to be in to win the championship?
No, because I already said in Indonesia that the only numbers I will have on the head will be the gears of each corner, and
Love it.
and that's it. I need to go for a good working weekend and try to fight for the win as always.
If you win, it's job done. It's as simple as that. So that's the way to go.
Yeah, if you make it simple, it's simple.
Hey, David, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it, and good luck this weekend. I'm sure we'll be chatting a few more times over the coming years as well.
Thanks so much.
David, pleasure to have you there. Good luck.
Thanks so much. See you guys.
There we go. See you later. Good to chat with the Aspar man, David Alonso, who, as we said, can wrap up that Moto3 World Championship this weekend. 97, his advantage. He needs to make sure that he's at least 100 points clear of his rivals to get the job done. It's hard not to be impressed with that young man, isn't it?
I've got to say, he melts my heart. Like any of those hungry, driven, intelligent, cute kids, they're younger than my son, and it, like I said, melts my heart. And I also know how important it is to them. So it's brilliant to see them succeed.
Yeah, 18 years of age. You feel that is a rider that is only going one way, right to the top. As you say, intelligent as well. Speaks 4 different languages, trying to learn a 5th at the moment. Yeah, there's not a lot that man can't do. So best of luck to David ahead of his first match point this weekend. No match point yet in MotoGP, Simon, and I get the feeling it's not going to be a match point opportunity for either Jorge Martin or Pecco Bagnaia for quite some time with the way that this year has gone. On Jorge, firstly, now leading the World Championship, but was able to bounce back in some style from that big mistake on the opening lap of Saturday. A first win since Le Mans in May. It's been quite the wait for a Grand Prix win, and although he's been on the top step of the podium on a Saturday, he's been on the podium on a Sunday, chipping away, getting very good points. There's nothing like a win, right?
Yeah, confidence-wise, it would have done him really, really good. I think the whole weekend in Indonesia, he was brilliant. He was clearly the fastest we saw in qualifying. Okay, some others had some bad luck, but he was magic in qualifying, as usual. And then planned to do the same on Saturday and looked like he was going to, and made that slip up like both him and Pecco keep doing, and he came out with big pressure and smashed it on Sunday, managed it, did such a good job, and you could see how much that meant to him. He was very happy, because he had a lot of, like he said, ghosts in his head. So I'm watching Jorge, I'm really happy for him. Yes, he has the edge at the moment, but I know people will get bored with me saying this. Our sport is so unpredictable. It really is. Like, anything can happen this weekend. We're saying Jorge and Pecco have the edge championship-wise, and the other two, Bastianini and Marquez, have most people writing them off. Look, I don't want this to happen, but this sport, they're so on the edge that the two fighting for the championship could take each other out in the big race on Sunday so easily. It keeps threatening to rain, one fall off, they're close. All I'm saying is, then Sunday night we'll say, oh, it's back to 4.
Yeah.
So it is a crazy competitive, crazy hard how they have to push, and so easy to make a mistake that, yes, right now Jorge's looking like the man, but anything can happen here.
Yeah, 21 points now, the advantage that the Spaniard has. There is no getting away from the fact, though, that Bagnaia is in need of a big result.
Yes.
And often, I'm sure there'll be people at home tired of us saying the same thing, but when his back is against the wall, that's often when you get the best version of Pecco Bagnaia.
Completely. And often, it's been so easy to write him off, early in a weekend so often, and then him him and his crew turn it around for the next day and pull something magic out. And they need to pull something magic out for the start. He's been explaining how his starts have gone downhill the last sort of 4.
Yeah.
And
used to be the master, and then suddenly just doesn't have that feel anymore.
Yeah, which, I mean, I'd be surprised if it's, I mean, it could be something he's doing differently, but a lot of the riders have told me how difficult it is to manage with these carbon fibre plates, which is similar material to the brakes, which don't work cold and then bite really hard, and they're tricky to get just right, you know, so you can get the same start every time, and Pecco hasn't been able to, and he needs to this weekend.
Absolutely. When it comes to Bagnaia, as we say, he's definitely going to come out swinging this weekend, but the form book does dictate from last year, yes, in dodgy conditions, but Jorge Martin looked pretty strong throughout the weekend here. When it comes to being the master of the hard braking, who do you think it is going to favour this weekend, or is it really too close to call?
Yeah, I mean, if I chose someone in the paddock, I would have to say 2 riders, and that'd be Fabio Quartararo, their braking skill, and Pecco. Just that smidge, just a little bit above everybody else in general. You know, if you said overall, not every weekend, but overall. So I would say it's going to favour those 2. They'll do something good, which Pecco needs. So he's also very good at getting the right setting in the bike before Sunday, you know, which is the important point. So, I mean, I think Pecco's going to be there. I really do. But Jorge is usually always there, speed-wise.
Yeah, big return to form last time out for Red Bull Gas Tectoi's Pedro Acosta. When you last joined us, you may well have seen at the bottom of the screen that Acosta was under investigation for a tyre pressure infringement. That result does stand, the second place and the 20 points, and importantly, the trophy is his. Simon, have we got an understanding as to what exactly took place there for Acosta to keep hold of that podium finish?
So I'll run through quickly. I did just before the Parc Fermé on Sunday's race that the sensor in the wheel sends information to the receiver on the bike, which sends it directly on from the receiver, coded, so it can't be encrypted, manipulated, and it gets sent to race direction and to Danny Aldridge in technical control, you know. And so Danny, who keeps an eye on it, can see that if riders are inside, they have to be 60% of the laps inside the minimum pressure, or above the minimum pressure. And obviously, when someone is called out as a, you know, they're looking into it, is because it says under.
Yeah.
But I heard, this is second hand, that Danny noticed that it was acting strange, as in continually dropping, which is not usual. So if you're behind, it rises. If you're in front, it drops because of the fresh air. But it was continually dropping. So they looked into it further. So they have to quickly, Danny gets it's called a, it's not ultimate, it's another word. Anyway, it's a gauge that is super accurate. He checks the pressure that is in the tyre, then checks it against what the sensor is sending the receiver, because he's got a handheld one, to make sure that's correct. If that's correct, then he asks Magneti Morelli what the computer is receiving, you know, so to make sure everything is correct, no chance of penalising him, and it was a fault of a part. Once that's done, so it takes some time, then he's like, but why was it continually dropping? So apparently the team took the tyre off, and they found a crack in the wheel. And I have to say, I love that Danny Aldridge and Michelin in the rules have the power to not penalise when there's extenuating circumstances, like they haven't cheated, they started with the correct pressure but it leaked out. So in other words, let someone off if they get a puncture because it wasn't them, they hit the curb or something, or in the future, you know, which is great. I'm really happy.
Yeah, and as a result, because of that, I believe it was it a crack in the rim, affecting the valve, which was allowing the pressure to reduce.
Leak, yeah.
And as a result, Acosta was able to hold on to that second place, and a much-deserved second place as well, because it was a phenomenal ride from the rookie.
For me, personally, it was the ride of the day. I mean, to match Jorge Martin's times on a GP24 on the gas, you know, which no one else can do, like, hats off. That was magic ride. And he didn't fall off the thing. I know he does a fair bit, but because he wants to do this, and I've got to say, what a ride. I mean, KTM have to be so pleased that they have that young man signed up to ride for them for the next years.
Yeah.
What a rider.
They've got their star for the foreseeable future, the same as Yamaha holding on to Fabio Quartararo.
Yes.
What a performance he was able to do over the weekend. The man who's leading the World Championship, he's going to be spearheading the Aprilia project. It's down to KTM, Aprilia, Yamaha to make sure that those guys are given the package to compete with what likely will be Pecco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez next year. KTM, I'm not sure how much time we've got actually before we have to go to the press conference, because it's a conversation I want to get into with you. Big news on Sunday evening that they have sacked Francesco Guidotti 12 months before his contract was due to expire. He's going to be replaced by Aki Ayo. Pedro said this afternoon that if KTM are serious about winning a world championship, then that's the man that they need there in Aki Ayo. Just initially, your thoughts on that move?
Well, initially, when I heard Francesco was out, I was kind of, I had to take a deep breath. But he's a very good people person, a great guy to talk to, genuinely likeable, and that's why he's in that position, managing people, you know, trying to get the best out of all the team members, and that's why he was brought in. So I was sad to hear that he was out, and obviously there's talk of like KTM being quite brutal, you know, if the results aren't there, chopping some heads off. But if this man on screen, Aki Ayo, is up for the job, I mean, I don't know a better man for the job. And I'd go as far as saying he's my favourite man to talk to in the paddock. He's so calm, so, I can't think of another way of saying it, no BS. He's famous for that. I love it. It must be something to do with the Finnish way, but also his way. He's brilliant. And if you have the opportunity to put him in there and maybe get some better results, you've got to do it.
Yeah, certainly an interesting conversation, one that will continue in a second ahead of Pedro Acosta starring in our second press conference. But before that, all eyes on the 2024 World Championship fight. We've been here before, a head-to-head between Pecco Bagnaia and Jorge Martin, the world champion and the man trying to take that #1 plate away. I sat there ready and waiting to chat with Matt Burt.